Good morning. Namaste to each of you. Thank you for joining me this morning to honor your mind and your body and your spirit. Let's just take a moment to become present. Find a nice, comfortable seated position where the back of your spine and neck can sit nice and long and tall, opening up your chest, and opening up your diaphragm, and opening up your heart. Let's just gently close our eyes and soften our thoughts. Soften our eyes. Soften our shoulders. Soften our heart. Observe your breath as it is, soft and gentle, breathing life into you with each inhale and relaxation with each exhale. Feel the grace of being present and return to that awareness again and again. You may open your eyes. For this morning's intention, you may think of a positive word or phrase to have with you on your mat and perhaps carry with you throughout the day. This morning's intention I'd like to talk about is Dharana. Dharana is the sixth limb of the 8 limbs of yoga, and it's Sanskrit for focused concentration. Dharana starts the journey inward by developing a calm, focused mind. You can think of this particular limb as training a puppy to sit and stay. It's the training for the meditation to come, which is a little further down the limbs. So there's several concentration techniques, and they're used for either meditation or for your asana practice. And here are 3 of them. First one, Anapansati. It's a Buddhist technique used in meditation to focus on mindful breathing. It involves observing the natural breath, just what you do naturally, without trying to control it. And that, in turn, helps to quiet the mind and cultivate a state of calm awareness. Trataka is an ancient yogic technique used in meditation that involves steady gazing at a single point to improve focus and calm the mind. So you often think of this as setting up a candle to gaze at, or a flower, or a lot of people kind of set up meditation spots where there's a little altar with special objects that they like to focus on. But it's focusing that steady gaze, and it's not glaring, it's just gently gazing at that particular object. And there's a phrase that's fun to remember for Trataka is still eyes equals still mind. Still eyes equals still mind. Okay, and then the last one is the Drishti, and you often hear that in your yoga classes. Drishti is a yogic term or technique used in our asana practice. So this is what you would remember about the Drishti, is where we place our gaze outwardly influences our physical body, both posture and alignment. So where we place our gaze outwardly influences our physical body, both posture and alignment. So we'll be exploring a lot of the Dristis today in our practice. But for our meditation this morning, I'm going to set up the Trataka, an object for you to gaze at. We'll just take a few moments to meditate, and I'm going to stay here and set up that. And there's a mudra that helps with meditation, and it's called Gyan, and it's bringing your index finger and your thumb together, extending the other three, and just gently laying that upside, palms facing up to the sky, laying those on your lap. And that Gyan is a mudra for concentration. So let me set up our object to focus on, the Trataka. We'll just take a few moments, and you can gently gaze at the candlelight that's here on your screen, or if there's another object in your room that you'd like to focus on, just take a few minutes and do that. Alrighty, so let's begin our asana practice. We'll go to the mat. So as I mentioned, we're going to be doing a lot with Dristis. It's the yogic, ancient yogic form technique of concentration, specific for your yoga practice, your asana practice. And there's 9 Dristi points. The first one is looking straight ahead, looking outward. Then to the left, and then to the right. And then the third eye, that spot between your eyebrows, is a drishti point. The tip of your nose is a drishti point. Your fingertips are a drishti point. We use those a lot today. Your thumb is a drishti point. Your navel, and then lastly, your feet or toes, drishti points. And it can be said that each asana, each pose, has a drishti assigned to it. And with thinking that way, when you are doing your pose and you're thinking about a concentration technique, the drishti, in that pose, and using it to help with the posture and the alignment of the pose feels a little bit more natural. And it's like using a cue in your pose. But just think of each asana, each pose having its own drishti, and I'll point out a few as we go along. So, and the whole idea is when you're on your mat, you want to calm your mind. You don't want to be doing the Simon Says thing. The full yoga experience is yes, it's physically involving your body, but it's also, more importantly, allowing your mind to be still and focusing. And then that will get you in line for the following limbs of yoga as we go down to the eighth one. So, starting with the basic seated pose, I'm going to give you an example. My normal posture, which is not great, never has been, is kind of a rounded back and kind of hunched shoulders and my chin up, and my eyes would go straight, kind of diagonally up, but the eyeballs to look will go straight ahead. So this, again, the drishti, if you're using the first drishti, which is looking outward straight ahead, you're bringing your eyes down so that they're focused straight ahead, not eyes up and your gaze being down. Everything is looking straight ahead, and that informs your posture and your alignment. So that's the idea of using a drishti as a cue in your pose and in your daily life. I'm constantly checking myself, like, oh, I'm not standing up straight, and trying to really embrace that. For 60 years before yoga, I was doing this all the time. So trying to change a little. So then let's start with our sun breaths and our chest openers, and we'll bring our fingertips to the side of the mat. Inhaling, bringing them up overhead, keeping our gaze straight out, and then bringing our hands down on the exhale to heart center. You can look at your thumbs and fingertips. And then inhaling, opening up your hands, sending your gaze straight ahead. And then exhale, closing your hands. Then inhale up. And exhale down. And we'll do this exercise, this pose slowly, so we can try to get that 5.5 seconds of inhale, 5.5 seconds of exhale, which Jim Nestor says is the perfect length of breath. So we'll come up slowly on the inhale. Exhale down. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. Inhale up. Exhale down. And we'll do that one more time. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. Inhale, up. And exhale down. Now we'll bring our right hand to our left knee, bringing the left fingertips behind our hips, twisting our torso to the left. And this is not actually left looking left. This is, again, looking straight ahead. But if you want a little bit more twist, you can look to the left over your left shoulder. But right now, let's just look straight. We're not quite warmed up yet for that extra twist. And then come back to center, and we'll go over to the right side. So bringing the left hand to the right knee, right fingertips behind the hips, twisting our torso to the right, sending our gaze straight ahead. And then coming back to center, we're going to come up onto our hands and knees, coming into tabletop, where we have our wrists right below our shoulders, knees right below our hips. Fingers are splayed apart, and we're going to look at our fingertips. Navel's tucked to the spine, kind of having a nice flat back. And this one, we're going to turn our head to the left and to the right. So let's just inhale, turning our head to the right. And then exhale, coming back to center. And following through over to the left, looking over to the left. And then back to center. And flowing over to the right. And back to center. Flowing over to the left. Back to center. One more time to the right. And back to center. And one more time to the left. Back to center. Having a little bit of a push into your hands to keep your shoulders away from your ears. Even distribution of weight in your hands. Then we're going to send our right foot down to the bottom of the mat, coming on the ball of the foot, pushing the heel to the back, giving our leg a stretch. And then we'll move that right leg over to the left side of the mat and take it outside the mat. And then we're going to turn our head to the left and gaze at our foot. Again, we're going to have our weight evenly distributed in our hands. And then we'll bring that right leg back to tabletop. We'll do that on the other side. So sending the left foot down, landing on the ball of the foot, and kind of pushing the heel to the bottom of the mat, stretching out that leg. And then moving the foot over to the left side of the mat, having it rest outside the mat, and keeping that pressure and even distribution of weight in your hands. I'm going to send our gaze back to look at our left foot. And then bring that left knee back to tabletop. We'll do a few cat-cows. So we're going to start by rounding our back, dropping our head and tailbone down, and sending our gaze to our navel. That's one of the Dristis. So that informs us to really round our back. And then for cow, we're going to lift our head up and tailbone comes up and send our gaze straight ahead. And then again for cat, we're going to round our back, tucking our head down, tailbone goes down, sending our gaze to our navel. Then inhaling, coming up with our head and tailbone, sending our gaze straight ahead for cow. We'll just do this for a few moments, inhaling and then exhaling, but focusing on your Dristi, finding the Dristi in cat and finding the Dristi in cow. All right, we'll come back to center, back to tabletop. Move both knees together so they're touching. We're going to go into bird dogs. We're going to send our right leg up about hip height, pointing our toes, and the weights evenly distributed in our hands. And then we'll lift our left arm up. And I'm keeping our gaze straight down, or you can keep them up, looking at your fingertips on the mat. So inhale with our toes pointed and exhale, flex the toes down toward the mat. So inhale, point, exhale, flex, 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 inhale, point, exhale, flex. I'll bring both hand and knee back down. We'll switch over to the other side, extending the left leg up about hip height, extending the right arm forward, keeping our gaze to the mat. Point, inhale, flex, exhale, 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 point, inhale, and flex, exhale. And bring everything back down to tabletop. Tuck our toes under and walk our hands back, coming onto the balls of our feet in a squat position. Then we'll push down in our feet, come up to tabletop to mountain pose. So our toes are going to be facing the long edge of the mat. And with mountain pose, again, it's all about the alignment and the posture. So it's great, the essentials of good posture, nice, strong, straight legs, keeping a little flex in the knees, navel's tucked to the spine, shoulders are relaxed and rolled back, back of the spine and neck's nice and tall and long. Chin is tucked in slightly, so that will send the gaze straight ahead. And that would be our Dristi, straight ahead. And the crown of our head is reaching for the sky. We'll sweep our hands up with a big inhale. Hands come up overhead, and then bringing our hands down to the mat, we're going to bend our knees as we go, sending our gaze down to the fingers or our toes. And then bringing our hands to our shins, and the drishti on the half forward fold would be straight down. Wouldn't be looking at our fingers or our feet because that's tucking our neck. We're trying to achieve a nice straight spine and back of the neck. One long fluid line. And then we're going to drop our head down toward the mat and send our gaze to our navel. And let's just dangle our hands here for a moment. Let gravity take over and stretch out. And then sweeping our hands, inhaling, bringing our hands up overhead. And as our hands come up, we're going to come up onto our tippy toes. And this being a balanced pose, we're going to keep our gaze straight ahead and use a Trataka. So you might find a spot on the opposite wall that is stationary, not moving, and just set your gaze on that. And that'll help with your alignment for balance. And then we'll sweep our hands down. And as they come down, we're going to lower our heels back down to the mat slowly with control. So again, sweeping our hands up as we inhale, coming up onto our tippy toes, focusing on that Trataka across the room. Really assists with our balance. And then lowering our hands and our heels slowly with control. And one last time, sweeping our hands up. Coming all the way up onto our very tippy toes. And then slowly lowering down. Hands and the heels. And I'm going to send our hands all the way down to the mat. Bending our knees as we go. And then bringing our hands to our shins, keeping our gaze straight down to allow our spine, back in the neck, stay nice and long, straight. And then dropping the crown of our head down toward the mat. Sending our gaze up toward our navel. And then we'll sweep our hands again, inhaling up as we come up, bringing the hands overhead, palms come together. And then we're going to bring our hands out in front of us. So bringing both arms down to about shoulder height. We're going to do what I call the 180s. So we're going to keep our left hand where it is. And then start the movement of our right hand, keeping our gaze on our right fingertips. We're going to make a semicircle. And as the semicircle reaches the back, we're going to bring our left hand to our right shoulder. The idea here is just to keep your focus on your right fingertips. And we'll bring the right fingertips back to the front. Joining it with the left hand. And then keeping the right hand out. We're going to rotate the left fingertips to the back. As it goes to the back, we'll bring the right fingertips to the left shoulder. We're trying to keep our torso facing forward. So then we'll send that left fingertips back, keeping our focus on them. Joining both hands, and we'll do that one more time on each side. So sending our right fingertips around in a semicircle in back of us. And then bringing them back. See if you can see how focusing can still your mind. You're just, shutting out a lot of other distractions by focusing on your fingertips. And we'll send the left fingertips around the back. And then coming back to the front. Where both hands meet up, and then both hands will go up over the head with a big inhale, and then exhale, bringing both hands down to the mat. Bending our knees as we go. Both hands come to the shin for half forward fold. Gaze is straight ahead, straight down. And then dropping the crown of our head down to the mat, sending our gaze up to our navel. And then sweeping our hands up and overhead. Palms come together. And palms come to heart center. We're going to lift our right leg up so that it is at a 90-degree angle, as if we're sitting in a chair, with just that one leg. Send our gaze straight ahead, finding a Trataka, something that you can focus on. Again, gazing, not glaring at it. Finding that stability. And then we'll move, take our right foot and take it to the back of the mat. As far back as what's comfortable for you, landing on our toes. And then just gently rolling down our foot. So till our foot is completely in contact with the mat. And then we'll come back. We'll do that one more time. So lifting our right leg up. Finding the balance here. And then we'll send that right toes back, landing on the mat, and then rolling our foot down to the mat. Doesn't have to go back very far this time. And then come back to mountain pose. We'll do that on the other side. So lifting the left leg up to 90 degrees. Finding the balance, focusing on something that is stationary to assist with that. And then we'll send those left toes in back, landing on the mat with the toes, and then rolling our foot down to the mat. And bringing ourselves back to mountain pose. One last time, lifting the left leg up. And then sending the left foot back, landing on the toes, and then rolling that foot down to the mat. Okay, and then come back to mountain pose. We'll sweep our hands up overhead, big inhale. And exhale, coming down to the mat with our hands, bending our knees as we go. Hands come to the shins for half forward fold. Gaze straight down. And then crown of the head comes down to the mat. Sending our gaze up toward our navel. And then sweeping our hands all the way up overhead. Palms come together. Palms come to heart center. And then palms come to the back of our hips. Fingertips are pointing down. Feet are about shoulder width apart. We'll just relax our shoulders, having them gently rolled back. Tuck our chin toward our chest. And this one, you can use the tip of your nose, that drishti point, as your drishti in this. So with your shoulders rolled gently back, chin tucked toward your chest, send your gaze to the tip of your nose and let your shoulders just relax back, coming into a supported back bend. And then come back up to mountain pose. Well done. All right. Moving right on. So, sweeping our hands up overhead, sending our hands down to the mat, bending our knees as we go. We plant our hands and extend our right foot back, coming into runner's lunge. We'll plant the right hand down and sweep our left hand up to the sky, following our fingers with our gaze. And then bringing that left hand back down. We'll send the left foot back to join the right foot, coming into plank pose. Our arms are nice and straight. Shoulders are right above the wrists. Heels are pushing back. Navel's tucked to the spine, elevating the hips slightly. And our gaze is straight down to encourage our spine, back and neck to be nice and long. And then we'll lower down to the mat, either knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga, keeping our elbows tucked to our sides. And then our hands are right below our shoulders. We'll gently lift our chin and chest up, sending our gaze straight ahead. And then pushing gently in our hands, lifting up to cobra. And then continue pushing into your hands, come up to tabletop, and then send your hips down to your ankles for child's pose. You can extend your hands out in front. And you can bring your gaze, your drishti point, to your third eye. We'll come back up to tabletop, tuck our toes under, lift our hips up to the sky, and come into downward dog. We'll pedal out here for a few moments. Arms are nice and straight. Hands are connected with the mat. Fingers splayed, index finger pointing to the top of the mat. And the drishti point for downward dog is either your feet, if that's comfortable, or your navel. And taking your gaze to your navel, bring your chest toward your thighs, elevating your hips ever more slightly, and stretching out that pose just a little bit more. And then we'll slowly walk feet up to the hands. Crown is reaching toward the mat. And then sweeping your hands all the way up overhead. Palms come together. And then palms come down to heart center. And we'll lift our right leg up. And we're going to go into tree pose. So you can find which version of tree pose you enjoy the most, either with your toe on the mat and heel against your left ankle, or sole of your foot against your left calf, or all the way up to your thigh. You're going to find that Trataka, that spot across the room or close by that's stationary, that'll help with your balance. And then release our leg, but keeping it upright in that 90 degrees. We're going to send our right foot back and coming into warrior two. So our front knee is over our ankle. Arms are both out at shoulder height. Our torso is facing the long edge of the mat. Back foot is nice and snug in the mat. And we're going to look at our left fingertips. So you feel, looking at your left fingertips, you feel that opening up of the chest, opening up of your torso, the strength in your legs. Then we'll bring our right hand forward to meet up with the left hand. So kind of twisting our warrior two to the front. And then we'll bring our right fingertips to the back again, but follow your fingertips with your eyes as you bring them back there. So bringing the right fingertips to the front again, following them with your gaze. And then bringing them to the back. Following them with your gaze. And once they're back there, gently turning your head to the left. And then looking at your left fingertips. You're going to drop the right hand down, lifting the left hand up, coming into reverse or peaceful warrior. Sending our gaze up to our left fingertips. And then bringing the left fingertips back down to shoulder height, bringing the right arm back up to shoulder height. And we'll do that one more time. So bending the right hand down, left arm up, keeping our gaze on our left fingertips. And then sending that all back down to warrior two position. And then we're going to bring our left forearm to our left thigh, sweeping our right hand up to the sky and sending our gaze up to our right fingertips. You feel our chest being nice and open. And then bringing the right fingertips back down to the mat, coming back to runner's lunge, and bringing the right foot to the left foot, coming into forward fold, then sweeping our hands all the way up to the sky. Palms come together, and palms come to heart center. And we'll do that all again on the other side. So sweeping our hands up, big inhale, bringing them up overhead, and then sweeping them down, bringing them down to the mat, bending our knees as we go, landing the hands on the mat, sending the left foot back, coming into runner's lunge. And then we'll place the left hand on the mat, sweeping the right hand up to the sky, following our hand with our gaze. And then sweeping that hand back down. Bringing the right foot back to join the left, coming into plank pose. And then Coming down to the mat, either knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga, keeping our elbows tucked to our side. With our hands under our shoulders, we're going to gently lift our chin and chest up, sending our gaze straight ahead, and then gently pushing in our hands, coming up into cobra. And then pushing down, coming back up to tabletop, sending your hips down to your ankles, coming into extended child pose, and having your drishti point be your third eye. And then coming back up to tabletop, we'll tuck our toes under, lifting our hips up to the sky, and pedal out in downward dog for a little bit. And our focus is either on our toes or to really stretch into this downward dog pose. We'll send our gaze to our navel. This is an inversion, so that really accentuates how it is an inversion. And then we'll slowly walk our feet up to our hands, coming into forward fold, crowns down toward the mat, gazes toward our navel, and then sweeping our hands all the way up overhead. Palms come together. You can actually, if you'd like, send your gaze up to your palms and focus on the thumbs. And then bring your hands down to heart center. And we'll do your favorite version of tree pose again. So we'll lift left leg up and then place it where you prefer, either toes on the mat, heel against your ankle, or the sole of your left foot on your right calf, or bringing the sole of your left foot up to the thigh. And finding that Trataka. There we go. Finding the Trataka that helps with your balance. That phrase, the Trataka, is about still eyes equals still mind. And then release, keeping your leg up, and then sending your left foot back, coming into warrior two. So arms come up at shoulder height, front knees bent over the ankle, torsos facing the long edge of the mat. We'll gently turn our gaze, look at our right fingertips. And then we'll bring our left fingers, semicircle, join them to the right fingertips. We twist our torso to the right. And then we're going to follow our left fingertips with our eyes as they circle back to behind us. Again, following your Left fingertips, we're going to bring them to the right hand. And then again, bringing them back behind us. And then gently turning our gaze to look at our right fingertips again. We'll lift our right hand up, dropping the left hand down, keeping our gaze on our right fingertips as we come into reverse warrior, peaceful warrior. And then slowly lowering that right hand back down, coming back to warrior two. And one more time, peaceful warrior, dropping left hand down, raising the right hand up, keeping our gaze on our right fingertips. And then bringing our right forearm down, placing it on our right thigh for extended side angle. Sweeping our left hand up to the sky and sending our gaze up to our left fingertips. And then we'll bring the left hand down to the mat, pivoting back to runner's lunge, and then bringing the left foot to the right foot, coming into forward fold. Sweeping our hands all the way up, big inhale. Palms come together. Palms come to heart center. And then we'll bring our pinky toes out to the edge of the mat. With our heels tucked in 45-degree angle. Our gaze straight ahead. And then we'll lower our hips down to the mat, keeping our gaze straight ahead. Typically I look down, but try to keep it straight ahead. You land exactly where you should. Torso between your legs, elbows between the knees, resting on the inside of the knees. And the back is straight up. And then we'll come down, sit on the mat, and then we'll slowly roll down to the mat. And you can either keep your knees bent or straight, or tuck your hands under your bent knees and do the express roll back. And then keep my knees bent and just slowly roll down to the mat today. Connecting the vertebra with the mat as I go. And then I'll bring my knees to the chest and give them a nice hug. And rock back and forth, massaging the lower back. And making big circles with the toes to the right or clockwise. And reversing the direction. And then coming back, knees to chest, give them a nice hug again. We'll walk our hands down our legs, coming to our feet and taking hold of the outer edges of your feet. And then you flip your soles of your feet up to the sky, coming into happy baby. So our focus would be on our feet and our fingertips and straight ahead all at once. Happy baby, you can rock back and forth. Try to connect the lower part of your spine down to the mat, gently guiding it down. And then we'll again bring our knees to our chest, give them a nice hug. Extend our arms out at shoulder height to each side, forming a T. On the exhale, dropping your knees to the right side, keeping your gaze straight up, straight ahead. And once your knees have landed, then slowly turn your gaze over to your left fingertips. Really feel that nice stretch and twist in your spine. Shoulders and nice and snug in the mat. And slowly sending your gaze back up, so you're looking straight ahead. And then inhaling, lifting your legs back to center. And then on the exhale, lowering your knees to the left side, keeping your gaze straight ahead until they've landed. And once they've landed, gently turning your head to the right to look at your right fingertips. And then bring your knees back to center, sending your feet down to the bottom of the mat. Sending your heels out to the corners, bringing your arms toward your torso at a diagonal, flipping your palms upward, facing the sky. And really connecting your whole body to the mat, kind of pushing down everything from your heels to your head, and everything in between, and then take a big inhale, and then on the exhale, relax everything. Today's poem, I have one by Mary Oliver, which I think is perfect for today, at least the way weather is in Vermont. Song for Autumn. In the deep fall, don't you imagine the leaves think how comfortable it will be to touch the earth instead of the nothingness of air and the endless freshets of wind? And don't you think the trees themselves, especially those mossy, warm caves, begin to think of the birds that will come, 6 a dozen, to sleep inside their bodies? And don't you hear the goldenrod whispering goodbye, the everlasting being crowned with the first tuffets of snow? The pond vanishes, and the white field over which the fox runs so quickly brings out its blue shadows. And the wind pumps its bellows. And that evening especially, the piled firewood shifts a little, longing to be on its way.